Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Decision making is very important in our lives, choices are very important in our lives, and it is nothing but choices and our decisions that make us. Now, do we have enough choices that are given to us, or is everything by default? Of course not. There is enough of design that we are allowed to make in our own lives, and hence decision making or the choices that we make becomes very important. Now, I have done some videos on similar lines, however I am making this as a more detailed one so that people are more clear how do we make our choices in life, how are the various planetary energies coming together in our horoscopes and allowing for that decision making, and also how do our own decision making contribute with respect to different planetary energies. Now, first of all, very important are the three planets which are the mind planets in the horoscope. Jupiter, Mercury and Moon are very important, and they are critical to the choices that we make and how we make the choices. Now, a simple rule: whichever the planet out of these three is the strongest in your horoscope, that kind of decisions you will make more often. So, for instance, if Mercury is very strong in your horoscope and has some effect or is forming some relationship with the Lagna is also related to our thinking, to our thought process, then we make more analytical decisions, more logical decisions, more practical decisions, more thought through and looking at various aspects, and only through deep analysis, practical approach, we make those decisions. But sometimes, especially nowadays, those decisions are made on rather than just logic or practicality, they are also based on more cleverness and more tactical approach, and to some extent even manipulative approach to life, because it is like we are in this dog eat dog world. Each one of us wants the best in our lives, and in trying to get the best, we try to outsmart other people. We try to outsmart the colleagues at work. We try to outsmart the people we are in business competition with. We try to outsmart other people or our vendors or competitors at work. So it becomes a game of one-upmanship, and who is more clever, who is more intelligent. And so analytical ability goes hand in hand with cleverness also, which Mercury provides us with. However, intelligence is the key factor which Mercury uses. So intelligent decision, thought through decisions, analytical decisions, practical logical decisions are what Mercury gives us the strength to. However, today Mercury seems to be on top, and Jupiter and Moon seem to be the ones who are being pushed at the sides, because the world has become more tactical, more practical, and also based on who gets the most. Now, if Moon is strong in your horoscope and Moon is forming some relationship with the Lagna, either plays there or rules the Lagna or aspects the Lagna or is placed with the Lagna Lord, then one will find that the decision making is more supportive, more caring, more empathy oriented, and based on fairness as well. And this fairness sometimes is on the other side. That means we tend to give more, we tend to nurture more, we tend to care more. We also tend to take more emotional decisions rather than tactical, thought through, analytical, balanced, practical, logical decisions, which Mercury makes us do. So here the decisions are more nurturing, supportive, empathetic, emotional, caring, giving. And so because of these nourishing decisions and caring and supporting decisions, and more aspecting that, our choices around our lives also become around those decisions, and eventually the results that we get out of our lives are also based on whether Mercury is strong in a horoscope and makes us take those logical decisions, or Moon is stronger and makes us take those nourishing or empathetic decisions, and the outcome is automatically related to the consequences that we face. And the third is if Jupiter is either ruling the Lagna or placed in the Lagna or aspecting the Lagna or placed with the Lagna Lord, and if it is establishing a stronger relationship with the Lagna, then the decision making becomes more wise. Here the decision is also large hearted rather than nourishing. Even when you don't want to nourish, you don't care for others, but you think it is wise for me. For example, you and your brother, you are in this tug of war over property, and so yeah, you become more large hearted, not because you care for your brother or you want to nourish your brother, but you feel, okay, he is my brother, there's no point fighting, and eventually we will come out as fighting brothers in the family. I want to set a good example also for my children, and the relationship is very important for me. So rather than wanting to nourish the brother, he is my younger brother, I love him so much, I care for him so much, what if I give him a little bit more, I am an elder brother, I am like a father. These are the empathetic, nurturing, nourishing, emotional aspects. The one that I was talking about, being large hearted, not wanting to set a bad example, wanting the relationship to survive, is more a large hearted decision, a wise approach to decision making, rather than being too clever or trying to be more emotional about it. So when Jupiter is strong, the decision making becomes more wiser, becomes more balanced, and sometimes large hearted rather than giving. Large heartedness is also important because you feel in the long run the relationship is very, very important, and if the relationship is important, then somewhere that bond will also help both the other party and yourself also in the long run. And relationships are important, wise decision making is very important, being balanced is more important, being large hearted is very important, and being overall refraining from fight, refraining from unnecessary tug of war is better than unnecessarily spoiling your focus or energy on smaller aspects. So a person with a larger or stronger Jupiter tends to move away from those areas where the energy spent is not serving him. Mercury is more about, I will spend energy here because it serves me, even if it serves me small, I will spend more energy. So a person with a very strong Mercury may haggle more with shopkeepers for even 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever. A person with stronger Jupiter will say, I will focus my energy somewhere else. 2 rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees is not very important for me. The Mercury strong guy will spend enough energies under 2 rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees, a lakh rupees, and a million rupees also. Maybe more or million rupees. Whereas a Jupiter person will choose the battles, choose the times where he wants to really put his energies and where he does not want to. So Mercury, Moon and Jupiter are decision makers or helpers or catalysts in our choices in our decision making based on these three characteristics. Now the other thing is, you will find that wherever Jupiter is placed in the horoscope, there you tend to make more wiser decisions. And especially if Jupiter is strong, placed in a friendly sign, then you will find that you will take more wiser decisions about the attributes of that house. So for example, even if Mercury is very strong in the horoscope and Mercury is affecting the Lagna, so generally most of your decisions in life will be on the lines of Mercury. But wherever Jupiter is placed in that area of life, because Jupiter is placed there, Jupiter will have a larger say, which means there Jupiter will tend to take more wiser decisions and less analytical, practical or logical decisions. So for example, even if Mercury is very, very strong in the horoscope, even exalted in the Lagna for the Virgo ascendant native, but Jupiter goes into, say, even in Capricorn in the 5th house, then too the person will take more wiser decisions, more large hearted. The person may not gain in the long run because of being more wise, because of being debilitated. However, the person will still will still try to be wise or attempt to be wise. The decision may go wrong, but the attempt, the focus, the energy will be of taking a wise decision. If Jupiter, for example, is in the 4th house say for example for a Scorpio ascendant native, then here the person will tend to become somebody who is more large-hearted at home. And if you have Mercury in the Lagna in Scorpio, which is still a strong position because Mercury here rules the 11th house of large masters, large society, and wishes and desires coming true, and then going into Mercury in the Lagna is very, very strong. But now Jupiter is going, say for example, in the 4th house in the sign of Aquarius. Then in Aquarius, in still not a very, very friendly sign, but Jupiter does slightly better in Aquarius rather than in Capricorn. Jupiter will make the person more wise, more large-hearted at home in domestic matters. Though in the rest of the other matters, because Mercury is very strong in the Lagna, the person will still take strong analytical, logical decisions in most matters of his life. Even in his domestic life, Mercury may still play a part there. But Jupiter, 9 times out of 10, will overrule Mercury, and though the initial thought will be I need to take more tactical, practical, strategic decisions, in the house also, how can I play a game of one-upmanship over other family members? Initial thought may come that. Initial thought may also be practical, if not game of one-upmanship, but more logical decisions, more practical decisions, because family is concerned. But if Jupiter is placed there, the person will still be more large-hearted and will make wiser decisions even at his or her own cost. So this is how planets placed in certain houses will play their part. However, for example, again to keep the to keep it similar, to keep it standard, Scorpio Lagna, Mercury in the Lagna. But now, say Moon goes into the 5th house, into the 5th house in Pisces. So here in the matters of children, because Moon has gone into the 5th house rules children. So here the person's decisions around children will be more emotional decisions, more caring, more sympathetic, more nurturing decisions, rather than being large-hearted or thinking. Here, rather than being more wise, the person may take a decision more out of emotionality and to nurture and to be a bigger giver to children, rather than think what to give, what not to give, not to spoil them, and to be wise about not to give them too much, let them deserve before they desire. So that approach comes when Mercury or Jupiter gets involved. But because Moon gets involved, such a parent tends to be more large-hearted, more giving, more nurturing, more nourishing, more caring also. However, sometimes the decisions may also go wrong because you may end up spoiling the children too much. So one has to be more careful, especially with Moon in the 5th house. However, the decision making about children will definitely be more on the empathetic or emotional kinds. Same thing will also be on decision making about investments. You like a house, even if you can't afford the house, you are not looking too much into where the money will come from, how will I pay the EMIs. You tend to make those decisions, so you may make that investment in that property, or you may make investments in the stocks, or you may take up an education or a course more because of your mind being more emotionally attached to that vocation, to that career, to that course, rather than feeling that this is the logical step for me, this is the practical decision for me, this is the money making decision for me. So that approach will also be there. Also about your romantic liaisons, if Moon is in the 5th house, then you tend to become more emotional partner. You may become a more emotional romantic partner, and you are this person who is more giving, more caring, sometimes more clingy also because of this. So the relationship may go either ways, and you also have more heartbreaks because of being more emotional, more attached, and you tend to get attached very quickly and want to be more giving to others more quickly. So one needs to be a little careful with Moon in the 5th house, that you don't become too emotional about your investments, don't become too emotional about a decision that you take in life, about children, about property, even career. Moon in the 8th house from the 10th house. So 8th from any house is obstacles. Yet the obstacles to career are coming is because you are being too emotional, and you are being too empathetic to others in your career, and you will suffer because of this. Such people may also change their careers because they don't feel happy at work, they feel more pressured at work, they don't feel emotional attachment at work, they don't feel emotionally attached to the work that they do, or to the organization, or to the team, they may not even have a great rapport with their managers and their supervisors, because of which when any upheaval comes in their life, especially related to career, such people may also take more emotional decision about career and about job. I won't be surprised if such people change 3 or 4 jobs at least in life, or initially the 3-4 changes may come before they eventually settle down when moon matures over a period of time. So basis where Mercury is placed, where Jupiter is placed, where moon is placed, decision making will be accordingly. The other thing which affects our decision making is how Mars plays its cards in the horoscope. For example, if Mars gets connected to Jupiter, then what is Mars? Mars is not only our energy, but Mars is also a temperament. What temperament Mars gives us about the house that it is placed with maximum, and based on its aspects also. But wherever Mars is placed, we fight for that house or about attributes of that house or areas of that house, or sometimes we become too aggressive and assertive about that house. So similarly, when Mars is placed with the planet, that planet tends to exert itself stronger, even if the decision making is not on those lines, but Mars pushes our energies towards that. So for example, Mercury again in the Lagna, Jupiter in the 4th house, Moon in the 5th house, but Mars is placed with Jupiter in the 4th house. So here the temperament, initial, the first thing that the person's temperament shows is, let me be more large-hearted and be more giving in matters of domestic affairs, definitely in matters of family. However, slowly, because the temperament, if the person thinks more wiser, then a wise counsel will also overall appeal, apart from Mars also giving impetus. So the first thought that comes to the person with Mars and Jupiter about domestic affairs will be, let me take more wise decisions, let me be more large-hearted. However, if you want to take, if you are in a situation where it is concerning your children, yet because Mars is with Jupiter, so the first thing that comes to your mind may be, no, this is not right for my kids, I should not be so large-hearted, I should not do this for them, let them grow up, let them learn. So a more mature thought comes to you first, because Mars is placed with Jupiter. However, what overrules it? Because it is because of children, Moon overrules Mars and Jupiter energies combined, because Moon is placed in the house of children. So what happens is, the first thought, because Mars is placed with Jupiter, the first thought which comes to you is, let me become more wise, large-hearted. Over a period of time, children will learn. So that thought comes to you. But even when the first thought comes, because Mars is there, the kickback or the design or the default both coming together, Moon plays its part and says, no, it's okay. Let me let me be more emotional, or let me be more giving. So rather than saying, let me not do this is not wise, let me, whatever wise decision comes to your mind, first thought, that is then vetoed by Moon, which takes a emotional decision eventually. Same thing about, say for example, your self-respect, your status in society, your related to your work, or designation or status in society, for example, or stature in society, which is constituted by Lagna, and Mercury is very strong in the Lagna year. So whenever whenever the thing is about, whenever the choice is about, or whenever the situation arises where you need to take a decision, where your status, your pride, your designation, your stature or your position in society is shaken, or you need to take a decision around that. First thought, again with Mars and Jupiter, comes about being more wise about something. So let me be more wise about it. Relationships are more important, comes first. But then Mercury is in the Lagna, and it is about and the attributes of areas of life are more about the Lagna, because status, your designation is all more about Lagna than about the 4th house, which is more about domestic affairs. So while the initial thought comes in because of Mars and Jupiter about being more wise in decision making, Mercury takes over, because what is involved here? Lagna, or attributes of the Lagna involved. And so the initial thought is again vetoed by Mercury, and you end up taking more practical, logical and tactful decision, more strategic decision, and you handle that matter accordingly. So this is how you should be seeing whenever Mars is placed in a certain house and with a certain planet. And say if for example Sun comes into the picture, then the person's leadership also comes into the picture, that what is the right thing for me to do, where I need to look at everybody, apart from wisdom, which may sometimes somebody may be wise too much for themselves rather than for everybody else. Sun is also the leader. So if Sun is placed along with Mercury in the Lagna, so most of the decisions in his life will be about his self-respect, maybe about his dignity. Sometimes pushes the boundaries of being also arrogant, but also wants to be the leader. So such a person, if Sun is placed with Mercury, so then the leadership comes to the fore, giving comes to the fore, and this is more naturally given to us, and that's why in most horoscope Mercury and Sun seem to be coming together, because Mercury is close to the Sun. So this natural tendency is given to us that we need to be more analytical in our thinking as a leader, to be more balanced in our thinking, to be more logical, rather than either be too wise and be large-hearted, or being too emotional and become a sucker for emotional things. So that's why Sun has been given to us along with Mercury by design, or Mercury is closest to the Sun, because your soul is not led astray and can make those logical, practical decisions. But the soul's decision, the Sun's decisions are also important, connected to leadership, accountability, and also how you are taking decisions which are moral and ethical, because Sun stands also for your ethical and moral fiber, strong moral fiber. Accordingly, if your decision, if Sun is involved in the Lagna, so the decision will be around that. But say for instance Sun goes and is placed with Moon, and the degree difference between Sun and Mercury is larger, and the degree difference between Sun and Moon is lesser, then Moon plays a stronger part, and the conjunction of Sun and Moon plays a stronger part. So the emotionality will definitely be there, but at the same time the person will also be a leader. So a more empathetic leader, a more giving leader, a more considerate leader, a more forgiving leader comes into the picture. So you will find people who are leaders but who are more considerate, who may be emotional but who are also logical and practical at a leadership level, and who want to take accountability, who are also softer on their teams, and who are also more forgiving. So Sun and Moon coming together is that. However, if Sun and Jupiter come together, your decision making of on leadership attributes, or how you become a leader and as a leader take decision, is based upon wisdom. You are large-hearted also, but relationship is important, and you want to take everybody along, the team along, because you feel in the long run the team is important and this person is important, let me groom them. And because Jupiter is involved here, so you want to groom, you want to counsel, you want to teach. So the Sun, the leader, and Jupiter, the counselor and the teacher, they come together, and this becomes a good coach, a good leader coach, a good manager coach comes into the picture. And such people will be who will groom their teams better, who will take the leadership, who will take accountability, and who will take responsibility for failure also. That is the part that Sun plays, But if the conjunctions of say Jupiter and Venus come together, then decisions about that attribute wherever Jupiter is placed, for example, Jupiter and Venus are placed together in the second house. Jupiter is the Karaka of the second house. Venus is strong in the second house because Venus is the natural ruler of the second sign, Taurus. So the person, because Jupiter and Venus are together in the matters of livelihood, in the matters of dependence, in the matters of earning money, in the matters of saving, in the matters of food, in all these, the decisions will be large-hearted. So will also have a lot of food, will have a lot of resources, we have a strong livelihood, especially if Jupiter is strong, Venus is strong, and in the friendly sign. So the decision making will be more about earning more, materialistic approach, though wise approach. So when dealing with your dependence in family, with respect to food, savings, livelihood, you will be very materialistic, but most of your decisions will also be wise decisions. However, a Venus goes and sets with the Moon. This is a tough combination because the person may become too emotional in the matters of intimacy, in the matters of relationships, rather than being wise. And if Venus and Moon, for example, go into the 7th house, then you may get a very beautiful spouse, but you will be so much head over heels in love with the spouse and so emotional about spouse and emotional about intimacy also, that you end up feeling more and more, becoming more giving, but at the same time your expectations become also high from spouse in matters of intimacy, in matters of resources, and you become very emotionally attached also, and the heartbreak is bigger if the relationship doesn't go your way. If Venus goes and sits with Mercury, then such a person can even be to an extent even a Casanova, because the person is more thinking, more practical, and if the person finds that the relationship is not serving, moving away from the relationship is not tough for such a person, especially if Mercury and Venus are together either in the 5th house or go into the 7th house. On the other hand, any two planets, two mind planets which go and are sitting in the together in any house, then the decisions become come across around the more stronger planet. For example, if Jupiter and Moon, both of them are in the 10th house, Jupiter is wisdom, somebody which keeps relationships and takes relationships along, whereas Moon is more emotional, but and placed in the 10th house. So in the 10th house, if Jupiter is stronger, the decisions will be more wiser, will be about relationship. But if Moon is stronger, then you will be caring and nourishing to others, but you will also be very emotional. So you may have emotional outbreaks, you may suddenly feel bad, you may feel moody, you may feel temperamental, you may be even feel depressed because of the job not serving you the way you think that you should be served. So based on how they come together, they also play their part. So any decision making that happens around these. Now, when can decisions go very wrong? Decisions go very, very wrong whenever there is placed a malefic with any of these planets. If Mercury gets involved with a Rahu, for example, then extremely manipulative decision making, very, very clever decision making, which is even based on manipulation and trickery. Such a person will not hesitate to trick others or put other people down as long as it serves him and his purpose. Such people can be very, very good at strategy and can be very, very good at how they plan, especially projects and what the outcome is. And such people usually end up, because of being very manipulative, very, very tactful, they end up being on the more successful side, at least in today's time. On the other hand, instead of Mercury, for example, Rahu goes and sits with a mind planet, then the decision making becomes more emotional but more blindsided also, and you tend to also make decisions. Initially you rush into dangers, you rush into emotional things, you rush into relationships, thinking that it is serving you. So somebody is very good looking and you are an emotional person, you wear your heart on your sleeve, you fall for the person, and within 2-3 days, 4-5 days, you are madly in love with the person, not even knowing what hit you, and you go around the town coloring, I'm in a relationship with this person, and you feel you're very lucky, you're on cloud 9. And then when the clouds subside, Rahu initially, the shadow, the smoke, slowly the smoke subsides, then you realize that, oh, this is not the actual story. Maybe I've been misled, maybe I was wrong, maybe I was an emotional fool. So being an emotional fool is more about any malefic, either Saturn or Rahu getting involved with the Moon. If Ketu gets into the mix, then it takes away the energy of that planet to a large extent. Ketu does two things. If Ketu is with the Moon, either it will make you a very cold person, and you don't feel too much empathetic for somebody, you don't care so much, okay, it's part of life. Somebody is poor and child is begging on the street, you don't feel emotional, you feel okay, part of life, what can we do? You may feel more spiritual about it. You may also feel sorry for the person, for example, but you may not feel too emotional even if somebody is crying if Ketu and Moon come together, because that coldness creeps in. The other side is what can also happen, what Ketu can also do is, because Ketu believes in being more giving, such a person may end up giving more in spite of not feeling too emotional about it, but being more spiritual about the decision making. So if Moon and Ketu come together, the person from a spiritual perspective may become more emotional and give. If Mercury and Ketu come together, then the person may become very analytical, but yet is spiritual, that okay, see, people don't get enough money, distribution of wealth is, so the decision is still logical. but spiritually logical. So you may think that, okay, distribution of wealth is not right, somebody is making more money, somebody is making less money. It's not emotional, but even it's, you're looking at logics, you're looking at separation, you're looking at fairness. Let me give more money because this person deserves it. He didn't get enough, as the rightful thing that he should earn. Jupiter and Ketu is more spiritual, more large-hearted. So you're spiritual and you're large-hearted. So you end up giving most to people, very, very karmic position. But this is less successful materialistically because you're too large-hearted and too spiritual. So you're too wise to be successful, if I can put it that way. So based on what conjunction the mind planets are, where they are placed, how they are affecting your decisions, may be played along accordingly. So coming back to the topic, when can decisions go wrong? Whenever the Lagna is super afflicted with malefics, whenever more malefics get involved with the mind planets. If more malefics get involved with Moon, Mercury and Jupiter, for example, Rahu with Moon, Ketu aspecting Jupiter, Mercury placed with Saturn, then all the mind planets are getting affected. So most of your decision making you will find will run into obstacles, will run into challenges, and then most of these, when more malefics get involved, the choices you make are based on either emotionality or wisdom at the first glance. But at hindsight, you will find that, oh, the decision was not as right as I felt initially I should have taken. So that is the flavor which malefics give you. You take the decision at that particular moment of time. It may be either you may feel logical, or it may feel more wise, it may feel more empathetic or caring if Moon gets involved. However, in the long run, with hindsight, you feel no, this was a wrong decision. I should not have taken the decision. If more malefics get involved. If the benefics get involved, these three are anyways benefic, and if more and there are less aspects of malefics on them, there are aspects on each other. For example, Jupiter and Mercury placed together and aspecting Moon in the Lagna, and no malefics involved. Here the benefics will attach more gains, or more gains may also come to you. However, in the areas where the more malefics are placed, your decision making, in spite of more benefics, may not go right, because malefics are controlling some center of the horoscope. So if more malefics are placed in the 11th house, when Moon is in the Lagna and Jupiter and Mercury are, say for example, in the 7th house and aspecting each other, so very strong placement. Kendra position for benefics, very, very good placement for benefics, and there will be more opportunities of prosperity, abundance also. However, if more malefics get involved in the 11th house, for example, or get involved in the 4th house, or get involved in the 2nd house of income, there malefics are holding their fort. Decisions about those houses, the malefics will not allow you to get it right. So Moon in the Lagna, general decisions about how you carry yourself with self-respect, with dignity. Jupiter and Mercury in the 7th house, how you take people along, how you work in partnerships, all that is fine. Malefics in the 10th house, in your matters of the work, decision making may not be right, decision making may go wrong, you may be misunderstood, you may not get appreciation or more gratitude for your work. So wherever more malefics get involved, decision making about those houses may go wrong. And if malefics, 2 or more malefics are aspecting your Lagna, however strong your other 3 planets may be, if none of them get involved either by aspects or ruling the Lagna and sitting very, very strong, then most of your decisions you will find, 7 to 8 decisions out of 10 you will find go against you or don't go as you plan. At that point of time, you, your friend, the wisest people may say this decision is right for you, and you may take your decision accordingly. However, later on you will find, because of political situation, social situation, because of the pandemic, whatever, that decision ends up going against you, because malefics are more involved, aspecting the Lagna. They will not allow the decision to go right. And so how do you end up then making more right choices in the life? My approach to life is, I think more about me and my boys. There is not much that I need to think about apart from me and my boys, and of course my friends, my social circle and my clients. So I think one needs to be more spiritual in our lives and should be more accepting and be more grateful to the supreme energy, whatever situation supreme energy keeps you. You do your karma, you have a strong conscience, you stick to your principles and values, you also get your pound of flesh, but in a more ethical and righteous manner, but stick to your principles and your values. Let your family be proud of you, and be more spiritual and be more giving, because eventually this life is a very, very short life. Being more spiritual, being more giving is always better, because you will be adding more value to your karma. And what is the best earning for you other than really being on the right side of the karma rather than on the wrong side? So being more spiritual, being more giving, being more grateful, being more thankful, being more submissive to the supreme energy is the best way to live your life, and ensure that the choices don't go wrong. Even at that instance, that particular instance, the choice may feel it has gone wrong. By hindsight, the choice may feel wrong, but at least your conscience will be clear that I took my decisions according to my conscience. I did not want to fool anybody, I didn't want to destroy somebody. So even if I am at the receiving end, it's okay. I am only improving my karma. Maybe I paid off my karmic debt, and then future life becomes better for you, future life becomes more peaceful for you, and you sleep more peacefully. If you have roof on your head, if you are healthy, your family is good, you have a meal, that is enough for you, as long as your heart is clear and your mind is pure. So friends, choices may go wrong, choices may go right, based on the placement that you have in your horoscope. Try and make the right choices, try and move away from more practical, tactical choices, clever choices. Even if the choice is made clever, you deserve to make your own choices, but at least ensure that you are righteous and you don't hoodwink, you don't fool somebody. As long as it's self-serving but not at somebody else's cost, it is still okay. But in the long run, ensure that your conscience is clear. So friends, look into your own horoscope, decide for yourself where your decisions are coming, how they are coming, where Moon is playing its mark, where Jupiter is leaving its mark, where Mercury is leaving its mark, where Mars is getting involved either with conjunction or with aspect, what energies or what planet it is increasing, which planet is affecting the Lagna more, is wisdom playing its part more, is analysis of Mercury playing its part more, is empathy or caring and nourishing of Moon playing its part more, which planets are affecting decision making about your career, which planets are affecting your income or your saving or your earning about the second house, which planets are getting involved and affecting your decision making about the home environment, domestic environment of the fourth house, fifth house about children, about investments, sixth house about your career, how you deal with colleagues, seventh house about your partnership, about your spouse, about your marital affairs, eighth house about how you are going to overcome obstacles or handle obstacles and upheavals, ninth house about travel, about education, about relationship with gurus, about your father, in the 12th house about spirituality and how you take losses and still approach life with a more spiritual and a more smiling and a more grateful heart. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation for me, please reach out to me at the link given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide signing off. Ciao.